Welcome to the Iconoblast podcast. This is the show that takes a look behind the public facades of famous icons to show you why you can never take anything at face value. My name is Cooper, and across from me, as always, is the wonderful Joel R. Benner.
What's up?
Wearing those sick-ass shades.
Hiding.
You know what? You haven't made a single goddamn comment about my haircut.
I don't care about it.
Okay. Alright, fine.
Iconoblast. We put the past on blast. Hit them with the truth, with things you never knew. Nobody is safe, no thing to place. Got Joel and Coop with history in your face. Iconoblast.
So I got a message from a listener from the show. Well, technically he's my illegitimate son.
Oh, Jake.
But yeah, good old Jake. Which, by the way, Jake, how you doing, son? Hope you're holding strong. We both miss your mother. Don't worry. But he sent me a clip from I think a podcast and YouTube channel called War and Conquest, and the host actually recreated the charge of the Nervii from the Battle of the Sabas River that we talked about on one of the previous episodes.
The Nervii.
The Nervii.
The scaredy cats.
And it was a 400-meter charge from one side of the Sabas River to the other to meet the Roman legions. And I was actually a little surprised that the Romans had any time to even form lines, because they were in the middle of setting up their camp when the Nervii, it was an alliance between the Nervii and some other Gauls in the area.
Yeah.
I was surprised that...
That's that dorky video you just showed me, right? With the guy with the...
It wasn't dorky.
Wooden things, the wooden tools running.
You mean a shield and the spear? Yeah, those things.
Yeah, whatever. That's
what they used. Well, he didn't have a point on the spear, but that would have been dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been.
It's not accurate then.
Okay, yeah. So maybe add an extra.
And the shield looked a little small. I think he made it smaller than
add
the
an extra
size of the actual shields they used.
No, they didn't use very large shields. The Roman scutums were much bigger than the shields that the Gauls would use.
Oh, that's right. It's a Gaul guy.
Yeah. So that was he was recreating the charge of the Gauls when they charged across the river. And initially, I was surprised that the Gauls were able to get the drop on the Romans. Well, I was surprised that the Romans were able to put up an effective defense because they were in the middle of setting up their camp when the Gauls charged across the river. But watching that video...
Yeah, you see how much it slowed them down.
The Gauls would have been fucking exhausted by the time they actually hit the Roman lines. They would have used up all of their energy just getting across the river. And it would have slowed them down a lot, so the Romans would have seen them coming from a distance off, and that definitely would have given the officers time to run around.
They would have heard them all, because the river's probably cold, so they probably kept hearing oh! Yeah, it's like little splashy sounds.
Oh, yeah, you know how bad it is when you dunk your balls into some cold water? Getting it on your legs is one thing, but as soon as it hits the twig and berries, it's a totally different story.
Twig and berries, and the stomach.
But it's stomach too, back. Jumping in cold water just kind of sucks in general. But the Gauls were much different than the modern day French. They weren't those soft, cheese-eating, peanut butter-hating bastards that they are today.
Wait, you hear it? You just hear, oh, and then you just hear thousands of, oh. You're like, oh shit, they're coming.
I would love to see that in a movie. Yeah. They're trying to sneak across the river and
Shh. The next person goes, it's cold. It just keeps going.
I mean, those are the sounds that I would be making if I was trying to run across that river back then. Yeah. But I probably would have been winded before I even hit the water. I'm not in the best of shape.
In that video, I don't know why you didn't just take the bridge across, but
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I don't think that. Well, the Romans actually, if they were doing the same thing, he
was in full sprint. You think they were full sprinting, or they probably were all running together at like a jog.
And
then got to the river and were like, oh, shit. Dude.
It would be kind of like traffic on a freeway or something like that, where the cars out in front are able to... The cars in front are able to go faster, but the further back you go, the more everything slows down. Yeah. So the front lines were probably moving fairly quickly, and then each subsequent line behind that would get slower
way, you're
and
fucking
slower.
Tired.
Yeah, and they were most likely...
I get winded walking to work.
Yeah.
5-minute walk.
I get winded climbing out of bed, but like I said, I'm in really bad shape. And it's a big bed to climb out of, in my defense. Used to be a water bed, but now it just has a regular mattress in it. But yeah, Jake, thank you for sending that video over. That was informative and interesting. And I mean, the guy who was doing the video, looked like he was in pretty good shape.
Right, and he was gassed by.
Oh yeah, halfway
Halfway
through,
through.
he was burnt out. So then you imagine
You got to consider that
fighting a full
in all the
battle
battles.
after. Yeah,
And they're all walking fucking everywhere, so everyone's tired all the time.
You spend weeks walking,
Or they're all in really good shape. I guess it depends.
Well, the Roman legion was actually in very, very good
They were
physical
training.
condition because they would do marches when they were training during when they weren't out on campaign. They would train every single day,
Right.
and the younger the troops were, or the less experienced troops, the rookies, would be forced to do
And the Gaul
more
aren't
training than. Oh yeah, that's the thing. The Gauls didn't really have a standing organized army. They were still fighting as a militia. And the Romans at that point, because of the Marian reforms, they had a professional army where
Right.
all they did, it was their job to train. So they would have
That's
been
crazy.
better equipped, better trained, in better physical condition. I
More
mean, really,
dingleberries.
much more. Well, no, I think the Gauls probably had more dingleberries than the Romans did.
You think so?
Oh yeah,
Just because they were tribal,
well, I don't think
living in the forest?
I don't think the Gauls had like public baths and stuff, and for the Romans, that was a really integral part of their society. Was at least unless they were part of the very, very poor class.
They were trying to be clean.
Yeah, they would visit the baths at least like once a week, and the baths were actually similar to a modern day YMCA, where they would have saunas and somewhere that you could bathe, and there would be exercise equipment, and people would be wrestling. Very, very homoerotic.
Like the beginning of Red Heat with Arnold. Walks into a sauna and it's a lot of naked dudes. And then he holds the hot rock and just squeezes it and it melts his hand, and then he punches a guy with the melting hot rock hand.
Yeah, probably almost exactly like
That's
that.
how it was every day there.
And I'm sure that there was a lot of stabbing or other forms of penetration going on in those baths as
Yeah.
well. So it'd be kind of like, what was that Viggo Mortensen movie where he played a Russian mobster?
It's a good fight scene. I like all the crotch shots.
Oh God, me too. I mean, I like the fight scenes. The fight scene is what I like.
Eastern Promises.
Eastern Promises, that's right. That director, he has, because before that he did A History of Violence.
Okay.
And both of those movies were similar in the sense that, I mean, one, they had Viggo Mortensen in them, but they were, I mean, at least to me, they were very boring, awkward movies with super badass fight scenes or like really good violence. But
Yeah.
then everything outside of that, I'm just kind of like, this is all really fucking weird.
I liked Eastern Promises a lot. I watched it twice.
I think Eastern Promises was better than History of Violence. History of Violence was just fucking weird. So today we're going to be talking about Caesar and Gaul some more, because we're going to be talking about him for a couple more episodes, because his Gallic campaign was a very, very important part of his life. And today we're going to be going over a specific meeting that he had that quite literally sealed the fate of Rome in general. And we will get into that in a moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump straight into it. Caesar was around halfway through his 5-year governorship and wanted to make sure he had something exciting and lucrative waiting for him once it was over. Once he lost his provinces, he would also lose his legions. Caesar really didn't want to lose his legions. Seeing as he wasn't eligible to run for consul again until 49 BC, he needed some way to keep his governorship until then. He may not have been eligible to run for another term as consul yet, but he knew two powerful and influential people that were. So he set up a meeting in an Italian town called Lucca. During the winter of 57 and 56 BC, Caesar met up with his old friends from the Triumvirate, Crassus and Pompey. During a meeting known as the Lucca Conference, the three men concocted a plan to keep their stranglehold on Roman politics for years to come. They were also signing their own death warrants, but that's in a future episode.
A super meeting.
The way it's been described a few different ways. Some historians say that Pompey and Crassus had like hundreds of senators that traveled out there with them, but I don't think that they would really want that many people around listening to the stuff that they were planning, because they were working out ways to manipulate Roman politics to keep themselves in power and to put themselves in beneficial positions. And it also kind of would have given away the fact that they have this really strong alliance going on that they're using to control Roman politics at the time. So I think that it was probably them and some of their most trusted allies going out there with them. I don't think it was a big group with hundreds of politicians walking around.
Right.
It was agreed that once they were in office, Pompey and Crassus would push through legislation giving Caesar control of his provinces for another 5 years. The additional 5 years as governor would allow Caesar to remain in command of his army until he was eligible for another term as consul. Caesar agreed to use his allies in Rome to help Pompey and Crassus secure governorships, both in provinces far from Italy. Pompey would get the 2 provinces of Hispania, and Crassus would get the province of Syria. This would ideally keep the 3 of them from interfering with one another. There was a very shaky alliance between these 3 where they were helping each other out, but it was because each other person had something that they wanted. It wasn't because they liked each other, because behind the scenes, Crassus was actively working against Pompey, and Pompey was actively working against Caesar and Crassus. And honestly, Caesar was kind of just doing his own thing this whole time. Out of the whole triumvirate, I think that Caesar was the most honorable person of the 3.
Honorable, like in keeping to their deal.
And he was when it
Not
came
actively
when it came to the
trying to
triumvirate,
overpower the other people or something.
what he told them that he was going to do is what he would do. Like
Right.
Crassus at the time was bankrolling the political career of this guy named Clodius, and Clodius was very actively working against Pompey. And that got to the point where Clodius and Pompey would have like gangs of armed people with them when they walked around the town. And if Clodius's supporters ran into Pompey's supporters, it would just turn into an all-out gang war.
Oh, shit.
But
That's sweet.
Crassus was the one
How many
funding
people, though?
Clodius. I think
Like,
that
are they like little skirmishes or like real gang wars, like in movies and stuff?
it
Like
would
gangs of New York style.
not that big, maybe about half the size, but I mean very similar. Like they would walk around
they're
with
in togas.
knives and clubs. No, togas were a ceremonial thing that they would wear. They were walking around.
You know
with,
they have to go to ceremonies.
So
there was
maybe-
probably a couple scrappy moments.
So most
at
likely-
ceremonies.
Pompey and Clodius might be wearing togas, but their supporters, they were hiring like former and current gladiators
With
to be
big
their
books,
bodyguards
right?
and stuff.
Like a toga with a big book with gold filigree,
There you go with the goddamn filigree again.
and then like attack.
No, they would actually be walking around with fasces, with their bundle of sticks that has an axe in it.
Yeah.
So they'd be walking around with those because that was a
Feces.
they would be holding feces. Well, no, it's the consuls that use the term holding feces. But fasces is just a representation of imperium, which we talked about imperium before, which is your. It indicates that you are the physical embodiment of the state. So anybody who has fasces
Has some of that shit.
has imperium, and imperium lets you lead.
So you walk
troops.
around like you're proud and stuff, and then you have your little gang with you to protect you.
Yeah.
And then once in a while, you make a wrong turn, or 2 gangs don't know about each other and they meet 5 points.
Come around a corner
There
and
it
then
goes.
shit just goes down. The dead rabbits run into what was Bill the Butcher's gang called? Was it Patriots or something like
I
that?
don't know. I need to watch that again.
Bill the Butcher is like one of the best
villains.
fucking
Yeah.
characters. I have a hard time even classifying him as a villain
well,
because I like him so much in the
When
movie.
I was a kid,
he's definitely an
it's
asshole.
old because you watch it now. He's like you're like, oh, I can't even pretend like I like him. He's so racist.
Oh, super
and
racist.
so
piece of-
fucked up.
Well,
But when I
no,
first saw it, I didn't even care. I just thought he was the
he's
shit.
patriotic.
Right, in his head. Yeah.
Yeah, in his head. Bill the Butcher was actually based on a real character. I want to do a story about, or I want to do an episode about the 5 points at some point in the future, talking about the real people that inspired that whole story. The movie
That's cool.
obviously
It's
wasn't
100% accurate, yeah.
I don't know about
Maybe that's a good one. If you want to
100%.
do an
A movie
episode on that
episode.
character, we could do it on that. We could just do a movie episode like we were planning.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, we'll do that one soon because that sounds
That'd
like
be
a lot
cool.
of fun, and I'd like to watch that movie again. So
I looked up Cronenberg because I knew there was some movie that he did that was awesome, and it's The Fly.
The Fly. I was just gonna say The Fly.
I don't know why I couldn't remember that.
He didn't do the original, right? He did the one with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, which is the one that's awesome. Well, they're both awesome.
I watched the original when I was really, really young, and it creeped me out. Like it didn't scare me. It just gave me a really gross feeling.
They both do that.
Yeah, actually, the Cronenberg ones do too. But Cronenberg does more of a body horror approach to it, with Jeff Goldblum throwing up all over the place.
Yeah.
I miss those types
Chunks-
of movies with the practical effects and
chunks falling off
the really
and shit.
good prosthetics. And it was around that time. It was around the time that I watched the Cronenberg version of The Fly that I saw Guyver. Did you ever watch Guyver?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
had
love
a
those movies. The first one was
friend that was
good.
obsessed with those
I didn't
movies.
care for the second one as much, but
They're
the first
really
one
dorky,
I
but-
fucking loved. Oh yeah,
But it's
nerdy
all
as hell.
practical, which is cool.
Yeah, that's what makes those so fun. It's the practical effects. I don't know. They just bring some weight to the film that you don't get with CGI.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I mean, I agree
Because
with.
it actually weighs something
Yeah,
in real life.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you that CGI should be used more to accentuate a real shot as opposed to just create the entire shot.
Yeah.
Like in Wolf of Wall Street, I think I brought that up on the show before. I had no idea that there was CGI in Wolf of Wall Street because they used it really
used
well
it
to
properly,
just
yeah.
accentuate everything and, you know, fill in the background and things like that. They didn't do
Dude,
the Star Wars
He did
shit.
Scanners also. That head explosion, it's all practical. It's like the most famous head explosion.
Do you
of
know
all
how he
time.
did that?
No, not in detail. No.
So he built, anybody who hasn't seen, I'm sure
Everyone's
everybody
seen
has
it.
seen the
They might
Scanners
not
head
know that
explosion.
it's
They might
from
not know
Scanners,
that it's from
yeah.
Scanners. But the way that he pulled that off is he had a prosthetic head built that, you know, was all filled with red chunky shit. And then Cronenberg himself laid on the ground back behind the prosthetic head with a real shotgun and shot it. And that's how they got that head explosion.
That's the way to do it.
Which I've sent that gift to so many people at this point for so many different reasons. But
It's
I
the
mean,
perfect
it
thing.
fits with almost fucking anything. I was talking to you about this just the other night, that everything going on in Rome, I mean, really for the entire history of Rome, but since we're talking about Caesar's lifetime, I'll focus on that. All of the political shit going on during Caesar's lifetime, during his political career, it really is very similar to Game of Thrones, where everybody's building alliances with everybody else and everybody knows each other to a certain degree. There's little actions taking place all over that have much more far-reaching consequences than anybody realizes at the time. Everybody's interconnected in different ways. I mean, Pompey was married to Caesar's daughter, and Pompey was still working against Caesar.
Right.
The reason that Pompey married Caesar's daughter was it was an arranged marriage because they felt that was going to keep them from fucking each other over too badly. Because they knew that they were going to fuck each other over,
Right,
but
so
they were trying to keep it to a
Keep the
minimum.
family
They were trying
together
to try to build an alliance to a certain degree. Crassus was an asshole. I mean, he was a major asshole. We talked about him and his
He got what he
fire
deserved.
department. And yeah, he did get what he deserved. We talked about him and his fire department and everything like that, but a lot of the stuff that he did, I mean, aside from secretly funding Clodius to work against Pompey, he was really more just kind of, I mean, he was obviously out for himself, but he was never, I mean, not never, but he wasn't just blatantly breaking promises.
yeah.
He would do some
That was
sneaky shit
that was
here and
Pompey's
there.
bullshit.
Pompey would
Pompey.
blatantly break promises, which he ended up doing after the Lucca conference. Crassus and Pompey won their campaign for consul, and the two of them followed through with almost all of their promises. They pushed through legislation extending Caesar's term as governor and negotiated their own future governorships. The plan was working perfectly. At the end of their term, Crassus left to govern Syria, as they had agreed.
That's a long con.
Oh,
The three of them.
oh yeah. Yeah,
It
big
worked.
time. And, well, it
For a
worked
while.
out for a while. Yeah.
That's how cons always work.
Pompey, on the other hand, decided that with Caesar and Crassus out of the picture, he could hang around Rome and throw his weight around. This decision would lead to dire consequences for all of Rome. So like I said before, the agreement was once their consulship was over, Caesar was going to keep his provinces of Transalpine Gaul, Cisalpine Gaul, and Illyricum for another 5 years. So he would still have his provinces up until he was eligible to run for consul again. But once the consulship of Pompey and Crassus was up, they were both supposed to go to their respective provinces that they were going to govern. Pompey was supposed to go to Spain, and Crassus was supposed to go to Syria.
Right.
Crassus followed through and went to Syria, which is understandable
Crassus.
because Syria was one of the most profitable provinces to govern at the time. But Pompey just decided, like, well, shit, Caesar's up in Gaul doing his thing. Crassus is over in Syria. I'm just going to stay here in Rome and do whatever I want without anybody working against me, because with them gone, I'm the most powerful person in Rome. I'm the most influential politician in Rome without them in the picture.
I like this power. I'm going to stay.
Yeah, and that's what he did. He sent some of his assistants, very much so, and it fucked up a lot of stuff, which we're going to get to in some later episodes. But if Pompey had actually gone to Spain like he said he was going to do, there might not have been a civil war during their lifetimes. But there was, because Pompey tried to fuck with Caesar, and Caesar was like, no, I'm not putting up with that. Him and the 13th Legion had something to say about that, but like I said, we're going to get to that in a future episode when we talk about they actually call it Caesar's Civil War.
You don't fuck with Caesar.
And Crassus...
Caesar.
Crassus did end up going to Syria, but he didn't last very long out there. That's when he ended up running into the wrong people, and they put him up on a horse and dressed him in fancy clothes and paraded him around, and then poured molten gold down his throat and cut his head off.
And then somebody tied a rope to his waist, put him in the river so the fish would eat all the flesh off, and then got a sweet gold.
Got all the gold back, because they
gold hammer out of it.
I'm still. I don't think.
Well, like a gold shape of a hammer. Imagine.
Oh yeah,
like
you would have the stomach and then the esophagus.
Yeah.
If it made it that far down, I'd still like to know.
It probably melted everything.
Yeah, I mean it had.
So it
to.
might have just like filled. Maybe it poured out at the same time as being poured in, like out of his fucking chest.
And his throat
his
would
gut.
constrict, so that would slow it down a little bit.
Or it would melt right through it. Maybe it was pouring out of his neck. It could have been like pouring out of his neck, pouring out of his guts. He probably like grabbed the gold and was like, "Ah!" And then he like turned to gold like this because it hardened real fast.
Oh, like the alien at the end of Alien 3? And then they splashed water on him and he exploded?
Some shit like that. Some shit exactly like that. That's why people still talk about it. It had to have been crazy. They probably toned down the story later because they couldn't believe what happened to him.
Well,
it melted him from the inside. That must have been causing steam. He probably started bloating.
Oh, actually, that...
And maybe he was like a squirting gold everywhere.
He was like, shit, what was it? I can't remember the movie that it's from now, but I have this mental image in my head of somebody with their cheeks puffed out really big and like steam shooting out all over the place because they're getting blown up with something.
Some horror film.
Yeah, definitely.
Practical effect.
Or you can just picture the scenes in Total Recall where somebody goes out onto the surface of Mars and their eyeballs start popping out. Which, by the way, that
looks great. If I get rich, I'm going to find that prosthetic Arnold
and buy
it.
I want the prosthetic old lady head. 2 weeks.
Oh, that one's a good
2
one.
weeks. Yeah.
And there's a prosthetic Arnold head for that too.
Oh, it'd be good to have both of them. I want the one that they pull the tracking device out of his nose.
That one would be good too. There's so many.
That's
Cohagen's head would be good because his eyeballs pop out too.
Yeah, they need to start using
Quato.
practical effects. Oh, even better.
You can just wear Quato anytime. You can keep it in your fucking sweater. Pull them out.
You pull it open. Quaid, start the reactor. There's a episode of a cartoon that I don't think is on anymore, but it's called The Venture Brothers, and it was one of my favorite cartoons on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network.
Open your mind.
And they have a trial where one of the judges is
Quato?
on Quato. And Dr. Venture, one of the main characters, keeps calling him the midget riding the retard.
Holy shit.
I love that they could get away with that back then, because you sure as shit can't say that in a cartoon nowadays, but this came out like 10 years ago or something like that.
You can still say retard, can't you?
I mean, you can.
It's
people are going to
touchy.
get upset
Some
about
people
it.
get-
Yeah, it's touchy, because
some people
I think it's considered the N-word for retards.
Well, to people that aren't retarded, they assume that it is to them, so they get offended.
The retards don't care.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean any...
Okay. The retards don't care.
I don't mean any offense.
If they do care,
to the differently able.
and it is what you said, then that'd be like saying the other way. same thing.
Yeah, shit, that's true.
So you were just really naughty.
I am being fair. I'm treating them like equals because honestly,
They do a better job.
Well, they're
than a lot of
they're
people.
equal to me also because I'm pretty fucking stupid. But yeah, bring back practical effects and stop getting offended over what people say. It doesn't help anything. You know, this is a total fucking tangent, but I'm just going to talk about it anyway. It drives me crazy when people want to change words because the word has become an insult, so they change it to a new word. Then people start using that word instead, and that becomes an insult, so they just change the word again.
What's the new word for retard?
I think now it's differently abled.
Differently abled?
Which is one of the most fucking differently abled things I've ever heard.
I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, that's a new one. That's something that I found out when I was
so you don't
doing
say
some
mentally
research for
disabled
fake.
now?
Well, it went from... So, idiot, moron, retard, those all used to be medical terms.
Right.
And those were, like, that's how they would medically diagnose somebody. They were
We need to
scientific
do an
terms.
episode on the history of words and following, that's a good example, following that trend of what it was, all the different names.
That would be good.
And then we could do a whole episode
Because
of
even bathroom, like there's been a bunch of different words for bathroom, and each one of those comes to a point where people are like, oh, that just sounds so
It's
graphic.
yucky.
I'm going to change it to something else. So I'm going to call it the restroom instead. I'm going to call it the water closet. I'm going to, call it something else. You're still saying the same fucking thing.
Right.
So just stop being offended by it because the meaning is still the same.
But it's still called a
The
bathroom or a
definition
restroom
is
now.
still the
What's the
same.
next one going to be? It used to be called a toilet. We'd say toilet on the door.
Yeah. Yeah, the next one would be the personal relief chamber or something.
Personal relief chamber.
That
That's
sounds like
nice.
somewhere you go to jerk off.
Yeah.
Well, it is. The bathroom.
Yeah.
So yeah, personal relief chamber. That's what I'm going to start calling it from now on.
And because we're going to try to be better, and it goes back and forth, right? Like the 80s, when we got nasty, and that's where all the best action movies came from.
Yeah, which I miss. Well, I don't. There's a lot of things about the 80s that I don't miss. I do miss.
But everything goes in flows, right?
Over the top, super macho action movies.
Right.
'Cause that shit was
But
just
I'm saying,
fucking
like,
awesome.
it'll be, next will be pleasure chamber or whatever. Personal relief chamber. And then it'll become fuck box. Because it's going to fully go the opposite way,
I don't know how fuckbox actually accurately describes a bath. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. In some bathrooms, I'm sure that you can call it a fuckbox. I mean, like in a nightclub, you could call it the cocaine room.
Yeah. Oh, cocaine room for a bathroom would be
Cocaine,
pretty funny. Yeah. I like that.
Coke room. That's pretty good. Sort of a
And then it's slang. And when you actually have to go pee, you just say, "I'm going to go do some coke."
I'm going to go take a piss in the Coke room.
Yeah. I gotta go do some cocaine. I'll be back.
So circling back around to Caesar, they just finished the Lucca conference. I jumped ahead a little bit in the overall timeline by talking about Pompey sticking around in Rome, Crassus going off to Syria, Caesar having his governorship extended. But now I'm going to go back to the end of the Lucca conference and what Caesar was up to after that.
Luca.
After the Lucca conference, Caesar returned to his duties as governor. Managing 3 relatively peaceful provinces wasn't nearly as exciting or lucrative as conquering new territory. There was no glory or fortune to be obtained through peace. So he started some shit with the Gauls.
There you go.
Because Caesar spent most of his political career just fucking with the Gauls. And realistically, it was the smartest thing for him to do, considering the way the world worked at the time. If you're governing a peaceful province where there's nobody to conquer, nobody to steal from, no slaves to capture and sell, you're not going to be making any money. And the reason people wanted to be governors, which, like I said before, technically it would be praetor or pro-praetor. Praetor would be somebody who is like a governor that can lead an army because they have imperium. Pro-praetor would be a former consul that has become a praetor.
Aren't you fucking cold?
Yeah.
It got really cold in here.
Yeah, you turned down the heat pretty low, but it was real hot in here before.
Yeah.
But I'm letting my passion for history keep me warm.
I can do that.
So the reason Caesar kept fucking with the Gauls is because Gaul was the closest area to Rome that hadn't been conquered and turned into a Roman territory of some sort.
Yeah.
So if he were to go up there and start fucking shit up like he did, he would be able to capture slaves. He would be able to steal valuables of any sort, which, I mean, that even includes food. You can grab their grain shipments, sell them back to Rome, and you make some good money off of that.
You're not wasting money on your own, feeding your own people with your own shit.
Yeah.
You're using other people's food to feed your people.
And Rome actually had a surprisingly robust welfare system where there were policies in place that would hand out free bread to a large portion of the population.
No shit.
Yeah. That was actually the political party that Caesar was part of. He was part of the progressives. We would, honestly, like I've said before, in modern times, Caesar would be considered a Democrat.
Yeah.
Because he had a lot of socialist ideals, and he had he was a bit of a populist, I guess you could say. He tried to win over the favor of the people by giving the people a bunch of free shit.
He wanted the people to like him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's kind of fitting because he was a narcissist. He wanted everybody to like him as much as he liked himself. Caesar sent Publius, the son of Crassus.
Yeah, my boy, dude.
Okay,
Publius.
I was waiting for you to say Publius. I removed some of the times that I wrote Publius in the notes because I knew that every time I said it, you were going to say Publius.
Why would you want to cut that out? So you want to take out all my fun. You get all the history fun. And my favorite part is when you say Pooplious.
Because this isn't supposed to be fun for you.
Oh.
This is work.
This is work. Okay.
Caesar sent Publius, I said it again for you,
Publius,
the son of Crassus, to build alliances with tribes in northern Gaul. With one legion under his command, the young Crassus, okay, I wrote it as the young Crassus, but I'll switch it back to Publius.
Publius, yeah. Pooplious.
With one legion under his command, Publius set out for northwestern Gaul.
I'm going to name my first son Publius now.
Publius was...
Publius?
Publius. Publius.
Publius.
Publius.
Fuck yeah.
Publius was only in his 20s at the time and couldn't officially lead a legion yet according to Roman law, but Caesar gave him command as a bit of a favor to his buddy Crassus.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a feeling that was probably negotiated between him and Crassus at some point, was like, hey, I'm helping you out, we're political buddies, help my son's political career, give him command of a legion, because you had to be a legate to lead a legion. And
we can't give him a legion, man. His name's fucking Publius, dude.
that was probably one of Caesar's arguments.
Come
it's
on.
like, nobody's going to follow a guy named Publius.
Publius?
Why would you name him Publius?
Yeah. How much
Just
drugs
name
were
him,
you on?
Name him Marcus II or something.
What kind
like
of drugs
that.
did they have back then? Were they all on coke, or what was the deal?
No, because
why are they so hungry?
Cocaine originated in Colombia, and the Romans never got out to Colombia, or it originated in South
They
America.
had to have something. Just wine?
I'm sure they did. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they were getting like psychedelic mushrooms from Gaul, because I'm pretty sure that they had mushrooms out in that area. Yeah, I'm actually curious to know that too. If you look that up and you find anything like what drugs were the Romans were on. I know that they were taking silphium.
What's silphium?
They were only using it as birth control, though. They actually used it until it went extinct. There's no silphium. Another word for it is laserwort, I think, which is a way better name than silphium.
Laserwort?
Yeah, Lazerwort.
The Romans used an opium-based drink.
Oh, of course.
Critic wine.
They had access to Asia, so they would have access to opium.
The opium could be purchased as small tablets in specialist stalls in most marketplaces. So you could just buy it at the store.
You just go to the store and buy fucking opium?
Yeah, apparently. Apparently, do the top search in Google. Who knows if it's true?
And the Roman Empire was around for like 2,000 years or something like that. So apparently, America would be safe just selling opium openly. It probably fucked some people up though, because considering the issues that we're having with fentanyl and just opiates in general. White people like their opium.
Yeah, baby.
So Caesar sent Publius up to northwestern Gaul to start building alliances with the Gallic tribes in the area. From there, Caesar sent another legion to build outposts in the Alps, which would protect travelers and merchants from any hostile Gallic tribes in the area. This legion was led by a legate named Servius Sulpicius Galba, who was the great-great-great-grandfather of Servius Galba Caesar Augustus, the Roman emperor in 69 AD.
69?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, he began ruling in 68. I think he only lasted until 69 AD, but nice.
Yeah, cool number.
That's the sex number for anybody who doesn't know that. I thought that it was interesting that Galba, the legate that he put in charge of that one legion to go and build the outposts in the Alps, his great-great-great-grandson ended up becoming a Roman emperor, and that just kind of shows how having a strong position somewhere in the history of your family, you can grow from that over time.
Right.
So the powerful lineage that a lot of these people had would ultimately lead to, it starts off with somebody just serving the Roman military really well.
Yeah.
That gets them a position of respect and power, and each subsequent generation is able to build on that. They hook their son up,
Pooplious, with a job. Pooplious has a couple kids.
Okay, Publius. Is that better?
Oh yeah. That makes it way less funny.
Yeah, that's much more serious.
And if you mix those two together, you get dingleberries, and now we're back to square one.
and now we brought it full circle. Yeah. In northwest Gaul, Publius Crassus began negotiating alliance with the local tribes. Part of these negotiations included taking a group of important figures from each tribe as hostages. While this may seem strange to us, back then it was business as usual. In modern times, hostages are usually involved in situations with criminals and terrorists. In Caesar's time, it was a form of diplomacy. Hostages would be handed over as a form of collateral to ensure the other side didn't try anything shady. If one side tried to break their end of an agreement, they risked the safety of their own people. So at times they would take hostages by force, but generally it was part of a negotiation where they're like, we don't really trust you, so why don't you just give us 10
girls,
important people, and then
2 boys.
We'll hold on to them. And actually the people that they would take as hostages, a lot of times they would just be incorporated into Roman society. They would teach them, they would give them jobs. It's not like they would just take them and put them in a jail cell and they'd stay there the whole time.
Yeah, they'd use them.
Yeah.
Get something out of them.
Yeah, and that ultimately, I kind of think the end goal of situations like that is, so you take a group of Gauls, you bring them back to Roman society, you teach them in Roman schools, you give them jobs in Rome, and then you can send those people back, and they're going to be like, dude, Rome's fucking great.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
Like, they got all kinds of cool shit over there. They have these baths where, like, everybody's just walking around naked, and you can wash the dingleberries out of your butt. And they've got good food.
That's the big sell.
There's no
dingleberries
there's no
in Rome.
dingleberries in Rome. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Publius sent a group of ambassadors to negotiate purchasing some grain from a tribe known as the Veneti. When the ambassadors met with the tribe, the Veneti had them arrested. There is no record of why the Veneti did this, but they would soon come to regret it.
Uh-oh.
I'm not sure, because there's a lot of speculation on why the Veneti arrested the ambassadors. My guess would be...
Naughty ambassadors?
No, my guess is actually that they just saw the Romans going around taking hostages from all these other tribes. It's like, well, fuck you, I'm going to take some hostages too.
Right.
Whatever the reason was, it was a very, very bad decision on their part because they didn't know the type of person that Caesar was. And honestly, the shit that Caesar's about to do kind of seems out of character for him. So...
Uh-oh, a little dark side of Caesar about to start showing up.
This is probably one of the most egregious things that Caesar ever did. It's real fucked up.
Okay.
When Caesar heard of Roman diplomats being arrested by the Veneti, he considered this a declaration of war. In reality, he was probably aching for a reason to march his legions back into Gaul, since he had 40,000 men under his command, and if they weren't looting and pillaging, they were just costing him his money.
Right.
So he put them to work. He sent orders to his legions, dispersing a number of them across Gaul to keep the other tribes pacified, because he knew what he was about to do, and he knew that it was going to cause problems. So he spread his legions out across Gaul. He's like, okay,
smart motherfucker.
let me do my thing, and when these guys start shit because of it, just fucking kill them.
Yeah.
He then had a fleet of ships built on a river leading to the Atlantic Ocean and ordered them to set sail for the coast. With 3 legions behind him, Caesar set off to have a little chat with the Veneti.
Oh, shit.
When he arrived in Veneti territory, Caesar found nothing but empty villages. Word had spread that Caesar was on his way with a bunch of pissed-off legionnaires, and everybody had understandably dropped what they were doing and ran.
How'd they get that news? Pigeons?
No, I mean...
Homing pigeons.
Probably, honestly, probably just people running.
Running on foot or on horseback?
Both.
Naked on horseback. Naked dingleberries on the horse.
Butt naked on horseback, just smearing their
Smearing
ass cracks
shit all
over
over
the back
that
of the
horse. But saving lives.
You know, the real victims in all of this are the horses.
I feel bad for those.
Imagine how bad the horses'
you can't
backs
get that
must have
off
smelled.
if you're a horse.
Oh, yeah. What, are you going to reach back with one of your hooves? Your legs don't bend that way.
Even when they, like, scratch their back in the dirt, it's not coming off.
Oh, I mean, all of the dirt back then is just covered in shit. Whether it's animal shit or human shit, they didn't have really good sewers or bathrooms or anything. Everything in ancient history is just covered in shit.
We need to remind everybody of that, I think, pretty often here.
That
truth of how gross everything was.
Our modern day hygiene.
We're the cleanest we've ever been.
Oh, yeah, by a long shot. The Vikings were surprisingly clean, but still everything was covered in shit.
Well, they didn't poo, right? They only peed.
Yeah, it was weird.
They didn't have a dingleberry issue.
Through sheer force of will. That's how strong the Vikings were, is that they just refused to shit. They were tough people. Imagine how strong their sphincters are.
Maybe they pooped in the oceans only, in rivers.
They probably only shit in their enemies' skulls.
Well, they're all redheads, so they don't have ass hair.
No, they weren't all redheads. There was a lot of blondes.
Oh, yeah, blondes don't have ass hair either. It's like the darker you go, the more that grows.
From my experience, that's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. No, yeah, I'm going to say that that's factual.
Yeah, it's a fact.
The lighter your hair color is, the less ass hair you have.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, and that is something you can quote me on.
That's why the Vikings were so fucking clean.
Because
they're all redheads and blondes.
Redheads and blondes. Well, redheads, they're clean because I don't think redheads actually have assholes.
Oh, they have cloacas. Yeah,
just like
it
the
all
Little
comes
Mermaid.
out the front, so they can see it, so they know when there's still some poopy on it, and they just clean it off right then.
And we brought it full circle again, back to cloacas, to cloacas and the Little Mermaid.
Are there cloacas that look like penises?
No,
They all just kind of look like a little slit. Are you sure?
Yeah.
What if there's
sure.
a cloaca that kind of has like it's kind of bulbous?
Well, I mean, then it's prolapsed, and whatever is whoever.
There's no bulbous cloacas that aren't prolapsed. How do you know this?
I mean, not that I've seen a lot of fucking cloacas in my time.
You were obsessed with them for a while.
I don't know about obsessed.
You and Dan are both obsessed
Aroused,
with cloacas.
maybe. Fetishized.
Yeah.
Fetishized.
So you have a thing for cloacas, but you wouldn't fuck a mermaid that had a cloaca.
No, I'm disgusted by cloacas, and that's why I'm
that's the
fascinated by
fetish.
them.
It's not a sexual fetish.
No,
kind
it's
like if you saw one on a human, and you're like, ugh, you'd run off and jerk off probably later.
yeah, but I'd be crying at the same time. I'd be real angry about it.
Let's say you have a cloaca. Would you pierce it?
Suicide.
What if you had your other stuff
Bullet
still?
in the brain. Oh God, even faster. I'd kill myself even faster if that was the case.
Why?
Imagine how much of a mess that is down there.
Well, no, you get to
that
pick.
would look like something out of a Cronenberg movie.
A cloaca, you wouldn't even know it's there if it was on your chode, or if it was on your spacer, the gooch. If it was on your gooch, nobody would know. And then if you're like, I just really don't. I don't want to pee or poo right now. I'm going to do them both at once out of the cloaca.
So, wait, you've got some sort of muscles down there where you can
Yeah,
decide,
you can choose.
I'm either going to pee or poop, or I'm just going to do both. I mean, I can already
It's like
do
you
both
can flex.
at once.
You can flex the front or the back right now. It's the same. You would just be able to flex 3 areas.
Yes, that's true. I just did it.
You just did it. Yeah.
Everybody listening at home, give that a shot.
Yeah. Try it. Flex the front.
Flex the front, and then the back.
Flex the back.
So there's already a lot of hygiene issues with a gooch. Imagine if you
I think it
had
would be easier with the cloaca.
That's just more.
No, it's less. It's less
well,
holes
no,
to deal with.
No, it would be more. You'd have a butthole. You'd have a
Well, if you had all
urethra of
three,
some
yeah,
sort.
but
if you had one
you
altogether.
could just only use your cloaca.
Okay, so go out and.
This is a weird conversation. But
yeah, we have a lot of weird conversations on this
would
show.
you pierce? The question was, would you pierce your cloaca
I don't know how you. I mean, it would be sort of like
and get a chain from your cloaca to your pee hole?
the cloaca, the pee holes in the cloaca.
No, your normal pee hole.
So now you're saying you have a penis, a butthole, and a cloaca.
That's what I've been saying. Where have
Well,
you
that-
been? You have a penis.
I've been sitting
and
right
a
here
butthole,
trying to understand what
and
you're talking
your
about.
Your gooch has a cloaca.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's already
so
a lot
there's
of hygiene
three.
issues with the gooch, and if you put a cloaca down there, it's just going to get worse. You're giving yourself another.
Oh, the
spot
gooch
for-
is going to be way worse.
Oh yeah, it'd be a fucking disaster down there.
Would you pierce it?
I don't have any genital piercings currently. I can't imagine that preference would change just because I had additional genitals. I don't know though. I've never been in that situation before, so I can't say for sure.
Are you sexually aroused by a cloaca? No, like if you had a cloaca.
Oh, I thought you meant right now. I was going to say yes, but no.
No, like if it's because it works for everything, right? You also fuck the cloaca.
Yeah.
So is it?
I mean, I wouldn't know. Theoretically, yes.
So if you had a cloaca, it would be everything. It would turn you on also. That's awesome.
Wait, what? Well,
So you'd have to like finger your cloaca to get off.
I don't know if
This
I don't
is
think that there's anything
a
with
pointless
the
conversation.
no. These are some hard hitting facts. This is what people tune into the show for
For-
because we ask the serious questions.
Yeah.
This is what everybody has had this question in their mind at some point. We're just
Dolphins have cloacas,
I think so.
and they fuck for pleasure. So the cloaca does have sexual stimuli.
Yeah, dolphins masturbate too, but I think it's only the male dolphins that masturbate.
How do they do that?
They rub themselves up against something.
Sick. That's how I first started masturbating.
I don't know what to say to that, but I was going to say
Between
something
the couch
else.
cushions. You don't know what's happening, and then all of a sudden it's
You're like,
happening.
oh, what's this?
And there you go.
What's this? What's this?
Was that a Disney song?
Nightmare Before Christmas?
Oh shit. Oh, that
So,
would suck to be a skeleton. You don't know.
There was an experiment done where these scientists tried to teach dolphins are one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet besides humans. They actually have a larger brain to body ratio than humans do.
What does that mean?
That means that dolphins are probably smarter than us. They just haven't figured out how to use it yet. Because they're fucking idiots.
Those idiots.
There was an experiment where they tried to, I don't remember the details exactly, so I'm just going to paraphrase it because who fucking cares. They were trying to teach a dolphin how to speak English. And what they did is they built a house that was halfway underwater, and they had a dolphin and a female human live together in the house. And the dolphin actually fell in love with the woman and kept trying to mate with her. And when it wasn't able to mate with her, it got super depressed.
Oh.
So they were just like, no, they were just like,
you gotta fuck it.
you got to fuck it. So she started jerking it off.
And it made it happy?
Yeah.
This is true?
This is a true
I
story.
love this.
Yeah.
You knew this the whole time? I even talked about if you live with the mermaid in a house, you wouldn't figure out how to make it work. It looks like it's already happened.
Well, because the mechanics of that were pretty straightforward. The dolphin's got its little
Cloaca.
Well, no, they're not the male dolphins. I don't think female dolphins have cloacas either. They're mammals. They're not fish. So
They got dicks and vaginas?
yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. I know sharks do for
Learn
sure.
something new every day.
Because that's how you can spot a male shark. Sharks have 2 dicks.
What?
Look on the underside of a male shark.
No.
They got 2. No, just next time you're out swimming with the sharks, like we like to do on our spare time, just take a look, and they've got 2.
I thought those were fins.
That's
Those
what
are
they,
dicks?
That's what they want you to think. It's
what they want.
That's what the government wants you to believe, but that's not the case. Sharks have 2 dicks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sharks.
Do they bang too? They have threesomes? Probably.
I no, I kind of doubt it. I mean, shark sex is very complicated and aggressive.
It's very violent. I've seen shark sex, and I think they do gangbang.
I mean, gangbang is one thing. Well, attempted gangbang, because you can still only fit one in there at a time.
Oh, I bet 2 have gone in.
Okay, possibly. I can't say that for sure. You know, we've never seen great whites fuck. We've never seen great white sharks have sex. We haven't found their breeding grounds. And I think we've never seen a great white shark give birth. We found pregnant great whites, but we've never found their actual breeding or birthing grounds. What do you mean, what's wrong with me?
They have portals or something?
Maybe.
Teleportation?
There's enough that we don't know about great whites that it's actually very surprising.
That's cool.
But they're also a really dangerous animal, or a dangerous creature to...
They have 2 dicks.
Yeah, they've got 2 dicks. That's actually how I found out that sharks have... Well,
Why do you know this? Why were you looking up how many dicks they had?
Who wouldn't want to know that?
How many vaginas do they have?
Just one, as far as I know. I don't care about shark vaginas. I want to know about that shark dick.
Okay.
That's the interesting part.
Yeah. It's interesting that you think that's interesting.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, this is an episode about Julius Caesar. So, you know what? You know, sharks live in the ocean, and something else that spent a lot of time in the ocean?
Wait, hold on.
I was just about to do the best fucking segue that has ever happened on this whole goddamn show. No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Because I want to know about the story of the dolphin that fell in love with the human.
Well, I don't know the rest of the details. I know that the experiment failed. They never taught it how to speak English, and some lady had to jerk off a dolphin. I mean, what else do you want to know about it? Some lady had to jerk off a dolphin.
But did the lady love the dolphin?
I mean, there was definitely...
she probably loved it like you would love a dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's...
And then was jerking the dog off.
That's why any good dog owner jerks off their dog.
Okay, that made it weird. I feel like jerking it off to make it happy because they were a couple and they were doing an experiment, that made it okay in my head. Now it's turning creepy.
Because it's an experiment, it made it okay?
Well, because it's a dolphin and the whole situation seemed romantic to me. Now that if it was a dog, I'd be like, that's weird.
Well, what if you have a depressed, horny dog?
It doesn't really happen.
No, dogs get depressed.
But they don't. They
prescribe Prozac to
They're not like
sometimes.
dolphins. Dolphins have feelings and thoughts.
Dogs have feelings. You've had dogs before. You know that that's not true.
Yeah,
dogs
but you don't need to
feelings
jerk.
and
That's
thoughts.
not what makes them happy.
That's because you've only owned female dogs. Well, no, you did have a male dog. I take that back. You never jerked off Gus?
No.
That poor guy.
He had the dog park, and he got his own whenever he wanted.
No, he did.
He preferred little boys.
I remember that. Yeah.
Even in his old age, he had one left. That was amazing. God bless him. Rest in peace, Gus.
Had one boner left in him.
He hadn't had a boner in 4 years.
God bless him, he used it. So as I was saying, I had this amazing segue set up. I'm just going to do it again. So sharks spend a lot of time in the ocean, and in fact, they spend all their time in the ocean.
I'll lead you in. So sharks have 2 dicks. That's crazy.
Yeah, and you know, sharks are in the ocean, and something else that spend a lot of time in the ocean. This is the third fucking time I've tried this segue. It's just not going to work anymore. The Venetti were sea merchants. They spend a lot of time out on the ocean.
You just interrupted yourself on the last.
I know, because I hate myself. The Venetti were merchants who specialized in oceanic trade. Instead of waiting for Caesar to come along and slaughter them, they retreated into their ships and parked them just off the coast.
Smart.
From their safe vantage point, they watched as Caesar and his legions burned every single one of their villages to the ground. I want to remind everybody, this is in retaliation for them taking a handful of Roman diplomats hostage. Yeah. The Roman diplomats came to their territory and they got arrested. Hostage. And
what was done to them?
Caesar's response. As far as I know, they just got released.
Or did he rescue them?
That part, I'm not sure.
That'd make a big difference. If they were kept overnight and released, that's one thing. But if they were kept and beat up and abused, tortured, and raped, then I would go fuck them up for that.
Yeah, I honestly don't think the Venetti did that. I don't know for sure though. Maybe that is the case, but I don't think so because what Caesar was retaliating for was just them being arrested.
Right. He just heard they were arrested. That's it. Kill them all.
That's what was documented, is that Caesar heard that they had been arrested, and he's like, this means war. So that's what he did, is he pretty much started a fucking war.
Fuck.
The Venetti weren't safe on their ships for long. The fleet Caesar had dispatched earlier arrived not long after the legions. The Roman fleet captured the ships and brought the survivors ashore, where they faced Caesar's wrath. To say that Caesar overreacted is an understatement. It's kind of interesting how that whole situation played out, because the Venetti ships, so the ships that the Romans built were oar-powered, and they were...
Oar-powered.
They were
rowers.
Yeah. And
So they were buff.
they were mostly meant for going along rivers and along coastlines. They weren't meant for open ocean travel, but the Veneti would do open ocean travel, and that meant they had very tall, large ships with sails and everything like that. So in previous naval engagements with the Roman Navy, which, by the way, the Roman looked down on everybody in the Navy. The Roman thought that being an admiral in the Navy was like something that you gave somebody who was past their prime just to keep them busy.
There wasn't a lot of boat action.
Yeah, they had no respect for their Navy. They did use it, when they needed to, but everybody looked down on
That's funny.
on the Navy. Like the Navy in general, they look down on them.
They still do.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I've said it before. The Navy's got a better Air Force than the Air Force does to a certain degree. They're
and
good.
They got the Navy
they're
SEALs,
good at different
which is
things,
dope.
and they've got the Navy SEALs, and they are also the taxi service for the Marine Corps. So
And they have Tom Cruise.
yeah, that's my stepbrother's a
It's
fighter
Tom
pilot.
Cruise.
Yeah, he is Tom Cruise. He's Tom Cruise with a bandito mustache.
Bitchin'.
So the Veneti had these really big ocean-going ships, and the Romans were used to facing other ships that were similar to their own. And part of the tactics would be you row really fast at one of them and try to hit them in the side and break through their hull. So they tried ramming these Veneti ships, and they were so big that they were just bouncing off and couldn't do anything. So then they tried climbing up the sides of the ships. That didn't work. So what they ended up having to do is they had hooks on ropes that they threw up to tear down their rigging and make sure that they couldn't get away. And then they were finally able to use the ropes and hooks to climb up the side. And they captured everybody and brought them to shore. And
Those are like some of the first grappling hooks.
they should have sailed away when they had the chance.
Yeah, why didn't they just split?
I was curious about that too. I couldn't find any
And they weren't
information
fucking
on
them up,
why
like-
they didn't just take off.
Or if
Because
they've got the bigger boat, why
if-
aren't they just fucking up the little boats?
if they went far enough out to sea, I mean, they could have just sailed off. You have a
just kept
sail-powered
sailing away.
ship. The Romans are eventually going to get tired of rowing,
Yeah.
and if you're under wind power, you can just keep fucking going all night. So I'm not sure why they didn't run. I mean, they were next to their home,
Were they fighting?
so
Were they fighting back and shit though?
I'm sure they were. It
Maybe they thought they could win. I would stay if I
possibly.
if you got the courage and the balls.
They are defending their
and it's their
home.
homeland. They're like, we're gonna fight.
And they just saw Caesar and his legions go through and burn down everything
hard
that
to
they
leave.
owned.
Okay.
But at the same time, they wouldn't have anything to go back to because Caesar just burned fucking everything. Like he marched
but
through
you're
and
emotional,
burned
right? Like,
every fucking village.
You're not thinking straight.
I'm sure there's definitely a reason that the Veneti stuck around.
And maybe some did leave. Maybe some boats got away.
No,
Nope.
no.
Maybe they were surrounded.
In Caesar's mind, burning down their villages hadn't been a harsh enough punishment for their minor diplomatic transgression. To drive his point home, he had the entire ruling council of the Veneti executed and sold every single surviving member of the tribe into slavery.
Dang.
He wiped out the tribe. Wiped all. Well, I mean, he didn't kill all of them, but every
he
Veneti
killed them all,
that-
or they all became slaves.
he killed their entire leadership, like all their tribe leaders, all of their elders, everything like that. Gathered them all up, executed all of them, and then the rest of them he sold as slaves. I think that was actually his goal, because selling slaves was a very
Moneymaker.
lucrative business, and that's what he was in Gaul for, was to make money. So
So
he
that was
saw
an
like,
opportunity
oh,
to make a bunch of money.
look at this. These guys just kind of pissed me off a little bit. That's war. I'm going to go to war with them, and what you do to prisoners of war after you capture them is you sell them into slavery.
Right.
So I think that he was using that as justification for something that he wanted to do anyway.
Right.
Because
And
that
made
was
some money.
that was one of the benefits of being a governor back then, or ruling a province back then, is you would be corrupt. You would take bribes. You would steal from people. You would sell slaves. Everything like that. The amount of money. You weren't making money from the state. Like Rome wasn't sending you money to be a governor,
make
and that's
your own
what's
way.
making
Yeah.
you rich. You're finding whatever way you can to get rich. It's similar to when Caesar was captured by the pirates. He brought the pirates to what is modern day Turkey, And he took them to the praetor of that province at the time, and he was like, hey, I've got these pirates.
sell 'em.
I want to crucify them. And the local governor was like, I think I'm going to take them and I'm going to sell them because I'm going to make more money that way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then that's why Caesar took all of them, marched them down to the beach himself,
He was like, no,
slit
you're
their
not going
throats,
to
and
sell them. I'm
crucified
going to kill them.
Yeah.
But now he's like that guy. Now he wants to sell some slaves, make some money.
Yes, and there was nobody there that was like, no, I'm going to take them down to the coast and slit their throats and crucify them. Caesar's actions understandably caused a brief uprising from the other Gauls in the area. He had already planned for this exact outcome, which is why he had dispersed his other legions across the other parts of Gaul. The rebellion was quickly crushed by the highly trained and experienced Roman troops. So he knew what he was going to do, he knew what the outcome was going to be, and he prepared for it, and
kicked some more ass.
yeah, the rebellion went down really, really fast. Since he was in the area, Caesar decided to stop by the home of two Belgae tribes who had never formally declared an alliance with him. So you remember the Belgae formed an alliance to rebel against Caesar.
Yeah.
They got their asses kicked, and everybody decided, like, okay, the Romans are kicking our asses. Why don't we all just go back home? We'll think about what we're going to do, and for the time being, we'll let it slide.
Yeah.
Most of those tribes declared an alliance. They built an alliance with Rome and agreed to work with them from then on. But there were two tribes on the sort of near modern-day Belgium and Calais, France, around in that area. Two of those tribes had never formally made an alliance with Caesar. So similar to how he was using the Veneti arresting some of his ambassadors as a means to go over there and fuck them up and sell them into slavery.
He was like, these fuckers.
Now he seems like, oh, these guys, they're rebellious. They didn't have an alliance with me, so I'm going to go up there and I'm going to fuck them up. And that's what he tried to do. These tribes had made no hostile actions towards the Romans, but that wasn't enough to convince Caesar that they were trustworthy. Word of his approach had begun to spread, and Caesar once again found nothing but empty villages. As the soldiers worked, the same thing that happened when he marched into Veneti territory. When they were marching through there, all of the villages were empty. Same thing happened when he went up into the Belgae territory. All of the villages were empty.
Well, these tribes aren't necessarily small, right? These are two big-ass tribes.
Oh, they'd be...
especially if they're not
thousands of people. Thousands and thousands of people.
Basically an empty city.
Yeah, when the Belgae put together their alliance to rebel against Caesar, they were able to field like 70,000 troops.
Holy shit. So yeah, it's a city empty.
Yeah. Yeah, well it would be like multiple small settlements that are empty, and then maybe like some larger villages that are also abandoned.
But they're all close.
And Caesar's marching through here burning everything in his path.
Yeah.
Like at this point of Caesar's career, when he's going through Gaul, when he's doing this shit, each village that he goes through that's empty,
he just burns it down,
loots it, and burns it to the fucking ground. So
he's pissed they're not there.
Yeah, well, and also he's just...
Well, it means so much, right? It means they're all talking to each other. They're all communicating. They're all not really fucking listening to me.
I also think...
They have a treaty with me, but they're also telling everybody that I'm coming. So he's getting pissed, and he's like, fuck, all these motherfuckers.
I think that there were two things that he was trying to do, I think. One of them is he was trying to set an example for all the other tribes. He was like, look, if you don't work with me and bow down to my rule,
I'm going to fuck everything
I'm going to fuck all your shit up. But at the same time, he knew that he had 40,000 men under his control, 40,000 highly trained men under his control. He wanted a war. He wanted
to fight, yeah.
If he were to just purely go on the offensive as the aggressor with no reason to do so, even people back in Rome would be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Those are our allies. Like, we've built diplomatic relations with them. We trade with them. And you're just going up there and slaughtering them and burning their villages for no reason. So he's
finding all the reasons he can.
He uses the Veneti arresting the ambassadors as one reason, and then the two Belgae tribes that didn't officially declare an alliance, well, they're still rebels. So he's going up there to quote unquote crush a rebellion.
Take care of the rebels.
And as he's going through, he's finding these rebel villages. It's like, oh, well, we can't leave all of these materials there for them because this is an enemy army. We have to take away their supplies.
Take everything we can and then burn it down.
Burn the villages. And this is the beginning of we've talked about it a little bit before. Like this is the
But it's
beginning.
not just little villages; it's 70,000 people's houses.
Well, spread out. Yeah, like 70,000 people's houses, but
Yeah.
spread out. They didn't have a lot of major
No skyscrapers
city
and
centers.
shit, but it's still 70,000 people
Yeah, exactly. And he's just marching through,
that ran,
burning
That's also
everything
crazy.
down.
Where'd they go?
As his soldiers worked to set up their camp one day, gulls began to swarm out of the forest around them. The army barely had time to form fighting lines before the gulls were on them. This is actually similar to the Sabas River. That's something that the gulls would do, is they'd wait until the Romans, they knew that they couldn't deploy troops the same way that the Romans could, but they had superior numbers, and if they had the element of surprise, their disorganization wouldn't matter as much. They would just swarm over the top of them. The Romans suffered a large number of casualties before the tribes broke off their attack and fled into the forest. And honestly, probably because they were partially because they were tired, because they just go all out right from the beginning. That seemed to be a really, really common tactic that the Gauls were using, is they would try to use speed and the element of surprise, and as soon as they ran out of energy, they would just have to split. Caesar's troop pursued the Gauls into the trees, but ran into multiple ambushes, leading to even more Roman deaths.
Shit.
After suffering these casualties, Caesar called off the pursuit. Winter was approaching, and the Romans needed to return to their garrisons to ride out the cold. But Caesar wasn't finished in Gaul just yet. Before marching south with his army, Caesar had his men build a fort near modern-day Calais in France and left some of his soldiers to guard it. While he had marched into Belgae territory under the guise of pacifying the remaining tribes, his true goal was to lay the groundwork for his next adventure. Beyond the coast of Calais, across the English Channel, was an unexplored land known as Britain.
Oh, shit.
Rumors said gold and silver were so plentiful there, nuggets were strewn across the ground like common stones. Caesar planned on returning the following year to see for himself.
Oh.
So Caesar was a very, very, very intelligent person. He was looking for reasons to move into Gallic territory where it would
just
be
like
justifiable.
Before, he's thinking 10 pages ahead.
He's playing 4D chess.
Yeah, he's not thinking about right then. That's all for something else, and it's been like that since he was a kid.
He's been doing it for years. The guy was a fucking genius.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He was a military and political genius.
He just had the mindset of thinking 10 years ahead, not tomorrow, not today.
Yeah. He knew that he needed an influx of money to keep paying his troops, because he has to pay his legions out of his own pocket. He has to figure out a way to pay all of these troops.
He's got 40,000 troops.
He's got 40,000 troops. He's got 8 legions under his command.
And it's like $1 a week each.
And well, we'll get into, in later episodes, we're going to get into how much money he ended up owing his troops, because a lot of the time he's actually giving his troops IOUs. He's saying,
and we're not at war right now. I can't pay you
just,
yet.
Just keep fighting for me. I promise you that I'm going to make all of you rich.
Yeah.
And around between 49 and 46 BC, he actually made good on that promise. He made all of his soldiers very wealthy and gave them, he paid them all back, but that wasn't until after they almost rebelled on him.
Right.
Because there's another story that we'll get into where his troops flat out turned on him. Well, at least it was like, I think 2 or 3 of his legions turned on him. Like some of his oldest and most experienced legions turned on him, because they were like, dude, we've been fighting for you for 15 years now.
We need some fatio.
And all you've been doing is feeding us. Like we have a lot of soldiers that are going to be retiring, and they need their pensions. Like they need to be taken care of once they're old men that can't fight anymore. They want to have something to subsist off of after they're not soldiers anymore.
Yeah. Half the Chiari are missing all their legs.
Yeah.
They're all out there on pegs. Like, come on, man.
The Triarii are just wheeling themselves along in wagons with one arm. But he did make good on it. As rich as Caesar was, he spent a large portion of his life in debt. In the beginning of his whole political career was all off of loans. Like the way that he went from being
sucking Crassus's dick, Pompey's dick.
Yep, those are 2 of the people who he was giving a little. But yeah, he would, because the way
king. What was the king? The rumors.
Palpatine.
Nicomedes.
Yeah, Nicomedes. Probably, yeah, King Palpatine.
Wasn't there somebody with a name like Palpatine? And that's how, because I was using Palpatine to remember his name. It doesn't matter. Nicomedes is like Archimedes.
Yeah. So yeah, he launched his whole political career
not Archimedes. Who was the rat?
Nicodemus.
Dude.
Nicodemus, that's what it was.
Archimedes.
Caesar's whole political career was launched by loans because the way that he transitioned from being like the equivalent of a modern day lawyer to being a hugely successful and powerful politician was by throwing a shitload of parties.
Right.
And he would borrow all this money to throw these parties for like the Roman populace in general.
Because he was thinking about 10 years later.
Yeah, he knew that if he could just get into a position of power, he was smart and capable enough that he was going to be able to make a fortune.
Yeah,
and that's
he'll
what he
pay it
started
back
doing
yet
up in
more.
Gaul is, he's taking people and selling them into slavery. He's setting up this camp in around modern day Calais.
God, that's just so much
Where
work.
he's going to be sailing across the ocean to go to Britain, which Britain hadn't even been mapped at the time. The Romans at that time didn't know whether Britain was an island or an entire other continent that hadn't been explored before.
That's cool.
The only thing that they knew about it was they knew that there were some Gallic tribes who traded with the British. And they knew that there was something over there.
Yeah,
They
there's
knew
someone
that
there.
the British had a lot of goods to trade, but they didn't know what was over there at all.
Yeah.
And in the
They
next
didn't know
episode,
they had guns and redcoats.
oh yeah, the British had fire. The British have been imperialistic for a long time now. No, back then. So all foreshadowed,
Slingshots, right?
all
Slingshots.
chariots actually, surprisingly.
Oh, they had chariots.
Yeah.
Sick.
I'll foreshadow just a little bit. Caesar planned his trip so poorly and underestimated the British so much that it was one of the first times in his military career where he almost just straight up fucking got killed.
Whoa.
But that's what we're going to be talking about in the next
Sweet.
episode is Caesar's trip to Britain, which is pretty interesting. It also has one of the instances where
It's like the first time he really fucked up.
well, he had some bad luck. He underestimated his enemy. He didn't have proper scouting or proper intel on the area that he was going to. And that led to some bad situations where him and all of his men almost got killed.
Yeah.
Like they almost completely got wiped out because of this shitty series of events, a series of unfortunate events. But at the same time, it leads to an instance that to me proves how much Caesar actually did care about his men, because a group of his soldiers got separated from everybody else and he went through hell to get them back.
Sweet.
He went way out of his way to rescue them. It wasn't an entire legion. It was a group of like a few hundred soldiers, and he dedicated every resource that he had to rescuing them. And to me, that shows that either he just knew that the loyalty of his men was important because he wasn't paying them very much at that point, or he owed them a lot of money at that point.
Yeah.
Or he actually did care about his
Cared
men.
about him. Yeah. Or it was a way to show that he cared about him.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we can discuss in the next episode is how Caesar actually felt about his men, because he did a lot of things that to me,
Like what kind of things? Like butt stuff?
no, but like he would let them do the
them
butt
do
stuff
butt
to him.
stuff.
Yeah. So I mean that's love.
Yeah, it keeps the troops going.
That's love right there.
Yeah. You
All
should
right.
learn from that when we get home tonight.
I don't learn anything. People already have a lot of theories about what we do at our apartment when in actuality, not any fucking going on at our place right now.
No. It's a dry home.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's
So-
a celibate lifestyle, the life of a podcaster.
We're like monks.
Yeah.
We're just keeping ourselves clean and pure so we can dedicate ourselves to our craft.
No dingleberries, that's a lie.
That is a bold-faced lie.
When you're not,
There's almost as many dingleberries in our apartment as there was when I was in basic training.
we try to keep the ratio of cockroaches and dingleberries equal.
Oh yeah, I told you about the huge fucking spider that ran through my room the other night, right?
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, I
You
just
have
started.
like the worst luck.
Dude,
I
have
still
been having.
haven't. I've seen
I've been
one
having
spider, a
horrible
little
fucking
tiny
luck.
one.
So
I haven't seen any spiders. No cockroaches have crawled on me. No.
I found 2 spiders on my desk so far. They were little babies, but I found 2 spiders on my desk so far. Just for the audience at home, so you know, I kind of have a problem with spiders. I don't hate them, but I do have a healthy dose of arachnophobia.
Yeah.
So found 2 small spiders on my desk, 2 spiders in my bed, a 3rd spider that was down in between my mattress and my bed frame. And then the other night while I was laying in bed, just getting ready to go to sleep, I saw a fucking goddamn gigantic one run across the floor. And I knew that if I didn't...
dreaming all this shit.
Oh, no, I've got...
Because you like wake up and think you saw something and it's a shadow or something.
I've got really bad hallucinations and PTSD, so, I mean, yeah, it might be.
Could be hallucinations.
But yeah, I was laying in bed just getting ready to go to sleep, and I saw movement out of the corner of my eye going across the floor, and I thought it was another giant goddamn cockroach because we got plenty of those in our place. But no, it was a big-ass fucking spider, and I think that it was the mother of all the little baby spiders I've been finding all over the place. Sense. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sleep unless I killed the fucking thing, so I got up and I tried to chase it down, and it ran into the kitchen and crawled underneath the oven. It's probably still living under there somewhere.
Nice. Hopefully it kills some of the cockroaches in there then.
I don't know what I would prefer to have. I
like the spiders more than cockroaches.
If I had to choose between, because I get cockroaches in my bed too. If I had to choose between having a cockroach drop on my face while I'm sleeping or a spider that size drop on my face while I was sleeping, I would choose the cockroach.
Yeah. I've never had a spider drop on my face or a cockroach drop on my face in my life.
Yeah, I had the...
You have some sort of scent.
That was the first time that I've ever had a cockroach drop on my face was the other night when I was...
You got like a scent for insects. I remember when I lived in the pool house, like I would live there for 4 months and then you'd come watch the place for a week and you'd have 10 stories of spiders and goblins. And
I think that I might just...
You must have a scent.
Or I'm hyper vigilant. I'm always on the lookout for them because I don't like them.
You're finding them. I don't even notice them.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably what it is. All right, let's close this up.
All right, let's get out of here.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, iTunes users.
Yeah, follow us on YouTube. It's the channel.
Review.
The channel is
the Drinkin' Bros History channel.
Drinkin' Bros
Go
History
and check us
channel.
out there. You'll be able to check us out and Softcore History.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram at Iconoblast Podcast, at Joel R. Benner, and at Coop Nukem. That's where you're going to get notices on when we're going to be doing our YouTube premieres. We're doing YouTube premieres every Monday night where we sit in a live chat and talk to everybody. Dude, we've been having so much fun with those.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a way to interact with everyone that listens, and there's great conversations in there. It reminds me of the old days.
My mom and my sister
AOL chat
both
shit
popped
from
in
back in the day.
to say hi.
I just dated myself, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, we both grew up with AOL.
Yeah, that was like junior high. AOL was where it was at, dude.
Yeah,
my name was ToeJam006 because
I like Earl.
Yeah, because I like Toe Jam and Earl, and I like James Bond.
It's a good game. They need to make a good new
Toe Jam and Earl
game. Yeah. Follow us for our premieres. We're
on Spotify. We're on iTunes.
Yeah, we're on
iTunes.
Every
give us a 5-star.
platform
Leave comments.
If you haven't given us a rating or a review on iTunes yet, please do so. That helps us out. We're still working on getting some sponsors, and staying on the charts helps us get sponsors. Also, tell your friends about us. If you have anybody that likes history shows or likes 2 jackasses talking about stupid shit, we do a little bit of both.
Yep.
So that's it for this episode of the Iconoblast Podcast. Join us next week when we're going to be talking about Caesar going to Britain. My name is Matt Cooper.
I am Joel Benner.
Reminding you to never take anything at face value.
Pooplious Cresses.
Pooplious.